Okay, before this video starts, I thought I'd tell you that this is quite a different video compared to what I usually make, but this will just mostly consist of me talking about my thoughts on various things, so I'm not going to specifically talk about the game happening on the screen, but I just want to talk with you guys and get some of my thoughts out on, just things that catch my interest. And for this one, I just wanted to talk about KhaZix and the recent buffs that he's going to get, as well as his current state in the meta. So how good he is, what everyone seems to be doing, etc. So if you want, you can just alt tab while you listen to this and that'll be fine. But I'll still have some gameplay in the background for those who want to watch something. So I guess I'll just get straight into it. Okay, so as a lot of you guys might know and have been telling me in the comments from previous videos, Kha is going to be getting buffed. Yes, I am painfully aware of the Kha'Zix buffs, but thank you guys for telling me. So what they're doing with him is they're increasing the isolation multiplier on his Q from 2.2 to... no, it's from 2 to 2.2. Okay, don't get confused with that. So KhaZix is going to be getting a little bit more damage on his isolated Qs, and this is nice to give him that little bit of a push to do his job better. I mean, KhaZix is great for punishing out of position enemies, and a buff to his isolation damage just lets him do that a little better. But, I don't really feel like it's going to impact him that much, because the reason KhaZix is not that great right now, I wouldn't call him bad, I would just say mediocre. But the reason he's mediocre right now is not because he can't kill isolated targets properly. It's mainly just because there's been a huge power creep in terms of like sustain and healing and tankiness in League of Legends that KhaZix and simply AD assassins in general have fallen straight out of the meta. This doesn't mean assassins are bad, because a lot of them still do their job quite well, including KhaZix, but the problem is that there's so many champions that can simply do more damage than assassins and heal so much and still be tanky at the same time. I mean, take almost every meta ADC right now, or every bruiser. The new death stance is just so obnoxious for assassins to play against. It means ADCs, I mean, yes, I know they nerfed it, but it honestly changes nothing. The fact that death stance provides armor and magic resist now, cooldown reduction, and a healing passive, it just makes it the perfect counter to assassins in the game for champions that are typically squishy and want to build damage. It gets even worse if you combine it with items like Guardian Angel, Phantom Dancer, Edge of Night. I mean, the list just goes on. There's so many items that provide great combat stats and defensive stats at the same time, and it really just takes a toll on how effective KhaZix and other assassins are able to be in games. I mean, in terms of KhaZix, the fact that he can evolve and adapt based on the game, and the fact that he has more utility than any other assassin, puts him in a relatively good spot. But there's a reason why his current builds and itemization in the meta tend to be more bruiser / fighter focused. So Kha is lucky to have such an adaptable kit, but let's say you're playing Zed or some other assassin, and you're 3 levels ahead of the enemy bot lane, and you're about to go in on an assassination. That should clearly be a kill, because the enemy Kai'Sa has Zhonya's and Death Stance. Because of that, the enemy Kai'Sa can kill you. And the enemy support is the center with marksman-like damage, as well as healing and CC, so you just flat out can't go in, despite being 3 levels up, with 2 lethality items, etc. And this is generally the case all the time for AD assassins right now. You have to just jump in at the right moment when it's time. You can't really push your lead properly. I know that's part of the assassin gameplay. I don't really have a problem with it, but I'm just kind of stating things right now, my thoughts. This is kind of a ramble video, so don't expect too much structure or anything. These are just my raw thoughts. But yeah, that's what I deem to be the case for assassins right now. AD assassins anyway. I don't have enough experience on AP assassins, so I won't speak for them, but I assume it's a fairly similar situation. But this is the problem I kind of have for KhaZix right now. Buffing his damage doesn't change much, aside from the fact that he's going to be even better once the meta passes. I mean, it's not the fact that he needs more damage, it's the fact that he can't compete properly as an assassin because he can barely get off his feet in the early game unless he gets like 4 to 5 kills. He is by nature an expensive jungler that needs items and experience to be useful, so naturally he has quite a fairly weak early game. I mean, it's manageable, but it's relatively weak compared to meta junglers. And this means you need to farm and get kills early to really start taking off as an assassin. But it's just that he has such a hard time doing that right now in the meta, with mediocre farming speeds and mediocre ganks before 6. Call me a biased KhaZix main, but I don't know, man. The more I play in this meta, the more I understand where KhaZix falls short and where KhaZix thrives. And KhaZix definitely falls short in the early game, where he can't really farm quickly, and his ganks are mediocre. So you kind of just have to play the map really well and be fortunate enough to pick up kills and, you know, all that stuff. So based on what I've just said, I think it's pretty understandable as to why many people are deciding to take more utility on KhaZix. And by that, I'm pretty much referring to R evolve and Q evolve, sorry. R evolve and W evolve. Many people have been resorting to these evolutions for climbing because they are way more consistent than just betting everything on Q and E evolve and hoping you get fed enough to make use of the evolutions. I'm not saying Q and E are bad evolutions, but it's pretty clear that they're far outclassed in terms of consistency compared to R and W. I am very much a situational evolver, and I will never say that you should always run a set evolution order. I will evolve based on the situation, but I really do find myself going R first instead of Q first way often in the meta, simply because of the team compositions that I'm versing. So in terms of like items and runes, etc., there's definitely been more of a preference towards cleaver builds and conqueror. This isn't the only way to play Kha right now, obviously, but it's a very reliable way, which is why it's the meta. Not to say lethality doesn't work, but again, it's arguably less consistent than meta bruiser KhaZix, so I do think the buffs for Kha are good. I mean, yeah, I guess I think they're good. I mean, I personally didn't think he needed a buff at all, really. But this will probably help him slightly in terms of getting on his feet early game and just snowballing from there. I mean, these buffs just pretty much make Kha better at what he is already good at doing, which is picking off isolated targets. I mean, it doesn't really fix any of his problems as an assassin, and it doesn't really help his place in the meta, I feel like, but it's better than nothing. And obviously, I'm speaking about this before the buffs are actually out, so, I mean, I could be judging this a lot, and I will never actually know how good the changes are until I play them myself, so don't take everything I say in this little ramble as fact, and never do that, honestly. Never do that with me, because I can be wrong a lot. But yeah, this buff is better than nothing, for sure. I would have definitely liked to see a buff to his base W to help him clear. Bringing back bonus damage on his W against monsters would have really helped him, but I think it's pretty clear that Riot understands KhaZix is a very potent solo queue champion, and they are being very careful with buffing him, and that's how it should be. I mean, he is a very potent champion, and obviously lots of people are still having great success on him. I mean, take Agurin for example, climbing all the way to Challenger, being rank 1 EUS, that was incredible. I think Metaphor in the past, I don't think he plays much League nowadays, but Metaphor in the past has definitely shown that KhaZix is potent. He's gotten, what is it, like an 80% win rate with KhaZix to Challenger? Or was it 100%? I don't know, it was some absurd win rate. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that have proven he's a potent champion, but I just think, you know, right now, obviously the bruiser builds are more favored, and you'll notice that a lot of those people who have gotten to Halo with KhaZix do play the meta kind of Conqueror bruiser build with W evolve. And you know, I mean, I don't have anything against it. I think it's fine, but it would be nice to see KhaZix return to, you know, like his former glory in season 5, season 6, where you could actually run an assassin version of KhaZix and have pretty consistent success with him, rather than, you know, having to run these kind of bruiser, you know, this bruiser fighter style of KhaZix that deviates from his true nature as an assassin. But you know, that's arguable. Maybe he's not, maybe he can be an assassin and bruiser as well. I mean, he definitely can. The whole thing with KhaZix is like adapting and stuff, so you know, I don't have a problem with all these different kinds of styles and builds with him, because I think it's good. I think it's pretty healthy, and it's great to have a champion that can do all these, you know, all this kind of stuff, different runes, different builds, different items, different playstyles. There's just so much you can do with KhaZix, and that's the reason I love him. I still think he's like, I joke around in game, you know, I'm like, oh, this champ's dog shit. This champ is trash, you know, please buff him, jokes. Like, I've never really asked for buffs, but you know, I think he's in a pretty decent spot, and we'll have to see how the buffs treat him in the coming patch. So yeah, that's about it for the thoughts I had. If you got this far, congratulations, I'm proud of you. I don't know how you could sit through a very raw recording of me just talking about my thoughts, but I don't know. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe I sparked some thoughts in your head that, you know what, I don't know. But thank you guys for listening / watching. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much for being a part of Team Tinjus, and I will see you next time with probably some more gameplays. Also, let me know if you want me to do more of these, because I think it's kind of chill. I think it's nice and fun to just, you know, sit back, relax, and give my thoughts on a topic at hand, whether it be League, whether it be KhaZix. It can be anything, man. I don't mind deviating from League, so let me know if you want more. And yeah, I will see you next time.